in Seattle, and you need to buy or sell a home, we'll be right there for you. Because we're the realtors that you can trust. So go to ronanddonsitdown.com.
You're listening to The Ron and Don Show on the Ron and Don Radio Network.
Hey, you guys, what's going on? Welcome to episode 857 now of The Ron and Don Show, and we are back live in the Let's Show Up studios.
What is up, Ron and Don Nation?
Hey, before I tell you what's coming up on The Ron and Don Show, we got to tell everybody something very exciting. We are live in our brand new studios, and now, horror of all horrors, people can now actually watch the Ron and Don Show on YouTube, right?
Yeah, well, we're now in a television studio. So we built out a TV studio with a set and lights and cameras and the whole deal.
Yeah.
We even have a producer and editor. And so it will be on the Ron and Don Radio YouTube channel. So for the 3,000 people that are already subscribed there, and we haven't put any videos up in a long time, hopefully when you see the new set and you see the setup we have, this is why it's taken that long, because we wanted to do it right.
Yeah.
We wanted it to look professional.
Yeah.
And I think that barring the two hosts, everything looks pretty good.
Yeah, and everybody check it out. Let us know, because Ron and I, now in our 50s, if we have to get hair plugs, we're willing to do that.
I'm trying to suck my gut in right
now. If
now.
we can raise some money on YouTube. If we need Ozempic, let us know. And then also, we're open.
Do they have man girdles? Like a man corset that'll suck my gut in?
We're also open to Botox. So maybe the Ron and Don Show used to be sponsored by, like, when we were on the Oakland Raiders, maybe it'd be like, Gatorade. But now that we're a little older, it might be Ozempic and Botox.
Yes, the Lauren Sanchez Center for Botox.
All right, so anyway, check it out. We're very excited. The YouTube page. And what do you have to do? You just go to Ron and Don Radio?
Just go to YouTube and search for Ron and Don Radio, and there we are.
Cool.
Subscribe to the channel. We'd love it.
Hey, coming up on the Ron and Don Show, we are going to talk about BuzzFeed asking this question. If you live in Canada, why would you never want to go back to the United States? What is BuzzFeed, by the way, so people
It's
understand?
sort of a news aggregator, and they take a lot of this stuff off of like Reddit posts that blew up, and they'll reformat it into more of a news-friendly article.
Yeah.
And they used to have a news division and stuff, but I believe they sold that off.
Canadians who are usually very nice, are sounding off on BuzzFeed about how they feel about us. It's pretty shocking, isn't it?
This is interesting.
Did you find yourself getting a little defensive as an American, or did you find yourself agreeing?
Most of them I agreed with.
I did too. So
we'll talk about that.
I was a little ashamed of us when I got done reading it. Also, I didn't know that there are aircraft or spacecraft kind of parked in outer space. And there's been a spacecraft that the Soviets parked in outer space. It's been up there about 50 years. It's about to come down and either land in your backyard or land on your noggin or land on your sailboat. So we're going to talk about that. Before we get to that, though, let's get to this. Remember the Cybertruck a couple of years ago? You could put $100 down and you could reserve a Cybertruck.
I think it was $1,000.
Was it $1,000?
I think it was, yeah.
87% of the people that put the money down for the Cybertruck never actually got a Cybertruck, which I find is very interesting. So Jeff Bezos looked at that and said, hey, that didn't work. Think I'll do the same thing. Ron got sucked into it, and now you're buying a Jeff Bezos truck, right?
Let me correct you a little bit. It is not Jeff Bezos is behind Rivian, or he is a big investor in Rivian. This truck, Jeff is trying to invest. They haven't said if he's invested yet. It's a company in the Midwest called Slate.
Okay.
And the reason why they called it Slate is they want this truck to be a blank slate. And so, and here's their value proposition, and this is why I signed up. I reserved a Slate truck. It's probably late 2026, early 2027.
Battery truck, right?
It is a full EV truck that will fit a sheet of plywood in the back bed. It's not as big as like a F-150 or a Chevy Silverado, but they are promising you a 150-mile range on a battery-powered platform for under $20,000 retail. So here's how they're doing it. Number one is they started looking at all the data for, they have a factory, I believe it's in Michigan or Indiana, And so the engineers went to look at data of like, what is the most expensive part of cars? So on the service side, something like 78% of inquiries is about these new infotainment dashboards and all the upgrades and updates and software issues with all the sensors. And that just takes an incredible amount of resources to manage for a brand like, name your brand, Toyota, Honda, whoever, and Ford. And so they said, here's what we're going to do. We're just going to eliminate that. You get no stereo, no touch screen, no, it's standard. The standard slate truck has a spot for it, but nothing is included.
You get some headphones,
You get some headphones.
And you get a Walkman, or you get a disc changer that you put on the dashboard that only skips 9 times.
The space is all there, but they're leaving it's a very DIY platform. They said the next thing that they're trying to solve is they looked at this article. Mercedes-Benz, because of new environmental regulations, they have to redo their painting process. And so Mercedes just spent $1 billion to build a new painting line for the Mercedes-Benz cars. And they're like, all right, let's just eliminate paint.
No paint.
No paint. So the body panels are made from this hyper strong, impact resistant plastic injections. And so in their slate gray, in their design language is modeled around a great white shark. And so like it's a truck. We have these panels on there. If you scratch it, the whole panel is gray.
It's just a 2-door truck.
It's a 2-door truck.
With a hood, a couple doors.
4 tires and a battery.
What about mirrors? Do you get mirrors?
No, it has mirrors.
You get a mirror.
So
okay.
here's the genius part. So the base model truck, which is a blank slate, and it's gray, and if you scratch it, it's still gray because the whole panel is gray, is supposed to be under $20,000. Delivery the end of 2026. Then they have an entire storefront where you can then do add-ons to your slate. So if you want it to be an SUV, you buy 2 seats that you install. So you pop off a cover in the bed, and you screw the seats down.
Like the old Brat where you spin them around? And
no, they all face forward.
They face forward.
But if you want a lumber rack, you get a lumber rack. If you want it to be a beach cart, you can take the doors off and get the beach thing in the back. If you want a surfboard rack, so you go to their marketplace.
Wait, are the seats in the back, in the bed of the truck?
In the bed of the truck. So you pull off 2 panels in the bottom.
So you're not in the cab, you're in the bed of the truck, like you would have been on the old Brat.
You would snap off the back of the truck because it's a plastic panel.
Yeah.
And then you slap on an SUV canopy, and it's a good looking SUV.
So you're inside the truck.
Yeah, you're inside the truck.
Wow.
And so,
that's cool.
Because these plastic panels are molded, they can make them whatever shape they want.
Yep.
So then if you want surfboard racks, if you're a gardener, if you're in real estate, you just go to their store. If you want different colors, you can get a wrap. You can put a racing stripe on there. Whatever you want it to look like, you can. But all that stuff is an additional cost.
Okay.
And so the base model,
A la carte, $20,000.
$20,000. If you want bigger batteries and bigger tires and custom wheels and wraps, and you want 4 seats and surfboard racks, it'll probably be $35,000.
Then you want a Rivian, so you might as well go buy a Rivian.
But for the base model, if I can get it for $20,000 in a year and a half from now, I'm probably going to buy one.
What is the interest? What are you going to do with this truck?
Well, number one is you and I like to do projects
Yep.
on houses, and I miss having a truck. So, like being able to go and get lumber or bags of cement or do a dump run, and here's what did it for me. I was going to buy just a junker truck when I sold my Toyota truck. You can't get a piece of crap truck.
Yeah, you can't.
Is like $9,000 in the Pacific Northwest.
With 400,000 miles.
400,000 miles,
Yeah.
beat to crap, like transmission's gone. I was like, I'll go out and get like a $2,000 truck. The era of the $2,000 beater truck that you're just taking to the dump doesn't exist anymore.
Plus, those old trucks were really only designed to go 100,000 miles. Cars today are going 200, 300, 500, 1,000,000 miles.
Yeah,
That's
so if
much
I can
different.
get a truck that's battery powered and a used truck is $10,000, this is $20,000. Plus, in the city, it would be great to drive around on electricity.
How far is it going to go on a charge?
150 miles, it says, unless you do the upgraded battery.
So
Mostly,
you can,
I drive under 50 miles a day.
So you could drive it up to the tiny house,
Yeah.
and then you could plug it in while you're up at the tiny house.
I could.
And
That's
then
the other
drive
thing,
home.
because I have a place on the river, and I'm constantly needing to buy supplies to take
Yeah.
up there. And so right now I put them in my, my kind of mid-sized luxury SUV.
Yeah.
And it always bothers me to like throw lumber that's sitting on the nice seat. So anyways,
What are you going to do without a radio?
I'll probably get a stereo installed, but I just don't need their stereo. You put the stereo that you want in there.
Yeah.
And you can do that over time. So if I can get it, it's Slate Trucks. It was $50 to reserve it.
Yeah.
And in the other possibility, if it's anything like the Ford Lightning, I could get it for 20 and probably sell it for 25 or 30 if I didn't want to.
Is it safe? What's gonna happen?
They
You're heading up to the tiny. You're on a 2-lane highway.
They say that they are going for a 5-star safety rating. It hasn't been rated yet.
Yeah.
But their goal is to get a 5-star.
Okay,
safety
here's my
rating.
question.
Yeah.
Where are the batteries coming from?
China.
Yeah.
Probably. I don't know.
So your truck is now $100,000 based on the new United States Trump tariff model. How about
Yes.
that? Hey, it's the Ron and Don Show, you guys. Check us out on YouTube. Just search for Ron and Don Radio, and we will see you on the other side of this. All right, you guys, welcome back to the Ron and Don Show, and we are on Ron and Don TV now on YouTube.
We are. Just go to Ron and Don. We'll go to YouTube first and then
Right.
search for Ron and Don Radio.
And we must be in the new Ron and Don Studios because I'm drinking out of a brand new Ron and Don mug. Ron, tell the people about the Ron and Don sit-down mug and how do you get one of these?
Well, we
How do you
figured-
get one of these bad boys?
We figured that in the land of coffee, that just sitting down to talk about your real estate journey over a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
This was formulated pre-COVID. We were thinking, hey, we would sit down with someone in person, give them a coffee mug, and we would all have a cup of coffee, talk about your real estate journey. Then COVID happened. We start doing the meetings by Zoom.
Yeah.
And then when we come and meet you in person, you get a Ron and Don. I sat down with Ron and Don coffee mug.
Yeah. Which, by the way, they've just done some research and they found out COVID was actually caused by the Wu-Tang Clan. I don't know if you've heard that or
Wow.
not. So
Dad jokes are strong today.
It's out in the universe. Anyway, RonandDonSitDown.com. If you need us for real estate, don't forget every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. It's the Ron and Don Show, just like you used to hear on Cairo. And then on Friday, we talk real estate only. Let's talk about BuzzFeed because what is your feeling when you go up to Canada? I have to say, I think that, and you travel a lot, Ron, Canadians have to be some of the nicest people in the world. I have a lot of Canadians come down, stay in my Airbnbs. Not right now, though. Like my business is hurting because the Canadians are not coming. It really is. There are cities on the Canadian U.S. border that depend on each other. And some of them say, hey, my business has already gone into a slight, not recession, but a depression, right? And we are kind of hand to mouth here. I'm going to read some comments that Canadians are making on BuzzFeed, on the internet, about what's happening here in the U.S. and how they feel about us. But when you travel, give me like the top 3 nicest people in the world that you've ever run into when you've been out traveling. Because for me, the Canadians are right up there. Right?
I would say, as a group, Canadians, Australians, and Germans. Boy, the people in Cuba were something special.
Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, don't make a lot of money, but they are really, really interesting folks and very warm. So, I don't know. I usually get warm people all over, but I hear what you're saying. Canada's definitely up there.
Yeah, and I also think...
Hold on, Tom, on the Canada thing. Did you see that the newly elected Prime Minister of Canada, who ran on a anti-Trump platform and skyrocketed in popularity...
Who had no chance of winning.
On the 5-yard line, he just boom, exploded.
Yeah.
He came to Washington to meet with the president. President throws out this thing of Canada being the 51st state and that we love each other and all this stuff. And he, right to his face, basically, is like... Canada is not for sale. Mm-hmm. It will never be for sale.
Yeah.
And we do not want to be the 51st state. We are Canada.
Yeah.
And then Trump's like, well, you never know, and stuff can happen along the way. He's like, no, never. We never want to be the 51st state.
Yeah. Anyway, here's some stuff that Canadians are saying. I'm going to read 3 of these, get your reaction, and then I'll read a couple more, get your reaction. One woman says on BuzzFeed, and she's a proud Canadian, she says, I'm proud to live in a country where old white men do not dictate women's personal health options anymore. Someone else says, another Canadian, with all that craziness and uncertainty down south, and I think we're the folks down south, I had no interest to spend my very hard-earned money on anything or anywhere in the U.S. I'd gladly give it over to my own countrymates in tourism spending. It's going to be a long 4 years for this American administration that borders us. It is absolutely insanity down there right now. Someone else said, just plain arrogance in the U.S. They won't allow themselves to be proven wrong, even in the face of irrefutable facts.
I mean, I get it. And I know there's other people on the other side. They're like, hey, if it wasn't for America, like it's easy for Canada because you have the world superpower basically guarding your southern border, and no one's going to mess with you because it's too close to the United States, and they're taking that for granted. Maybe, but I hear what they're saying. Like it's a different type of government. It's a different healthcare system. It's a different way. Like they have an independent third party. I think if the United States had a third political party, I would love that. And Canada has that. So whenever you inject a third entity into any duopoly, whether that's shipping or business or government, it does nothing but improve stuff because then people have to cooperate. So I wish we had a third party like they do, but I think I can't refute any of those
Someone
things.
else in here, and I thought this was really interesting, they made the point, when you campaign, when they're having an election, and they have a third party and sometimes a fourth party, They campaign for 6 weeks, and then you have to live with the results depending on who is running and which election for the next 3 to 5 years. And they make the point that here in the U.S., as soon as an election goes by, all the campaigning starts all over again. And it's true. Our current president has only been in the saddle over 100 days, and people are already trying to figure out, how do we take the House? How do we take the Senate? And it just means there's just lots of bickering and infighting and lots of money that is thrown at this all the time. And I thought, you know what? That's a really good point that someone made on BuzzFeed.
It's an excellent point.
Think how that would change our politics here in the U.S. if we said, hey, you know what? You got 6 weeks to campaign, and then after that, everybody
do your work.
Everybody shut it down.
Do the job you were elected to do.
Also, a lot of stuff on healthcare on BuzzFeed where people are talking about their healthcare. And then I think this is interesting. Let me read a couple more. Canada, someone writes, is like a great tasting salad. It's made up of bits and pieces of different cultures. We live harmoniously together. We enjoy interesting differences. We're an example of how the world should live together. If you take that salad, you put it in a blender, you create a zombie-like bland concoction. That's the United States of America. How about that?
I don't know if I agree with that one, but
someone else says I travel a lot. I'll end it here. And when people in other countries find out that I'm Canadian, they're so friendly to us. In fact, I had some American friends traveling at the same time, and when the locals found out that they were American, they got snubbed quite often. In fact, they started telling locals that they were Canadian. And they say the attitudes of the locals change so quickly. I have to say, I've been thinking about this because my son and I are going to do some traveling this summer, and it's the first time we're going to use his passport. I've been thinking about that. We have a client that's actually a travel agent, and I was asking her yesterday, I said, what does it look like as far as traveling goes? And it is very clear. It's not only Canadians, but people around the world are looking at this. And we touched on this a little bit last week, Ron, but people are making a decision not to come here, not to fly here, not to invest their tourist dollars. And we have to understand, we have a lot of economy, a lot of smaller microeconomies here that are based on tourism and they're based on experience, right? So what is a place like New Orleans going to do when people don't show up for Jazz Fest? What is New Orleans going to do, for instance, where we live, when people don't come for the French Quarter Fest or they don't come for Mardi Gras? It seems like internationally that's beginning to happen. I think what is also interesting is will we see Americans now say, wow, travel's a little bit cheaper. I'm going to jump on a plane and I'm going to fly to Europe and see what that feels
Real
like.
quick, though, to speak to that comment.
Which
and
comment?
About people being treated differently as an American overseas. I would say people are curious of where you're from.
Yep.
I've traveled kind of most places, a lot of places in the world.
You're a traveling man, and you've seen a lot of stops
I've been everywhere.
all over the world. And you've been everywhere, man.
Here's the thing, is it's about you. It's not about them.
Yeah.
So the way in which you approach travel is the way you get treated. If you roll in there as a stereotypical American, I remember one thing of the cobblestone streets in Spain, let's say. Mm-hmm. If you come rolling your 75-pound roller bag over the cobblestones at 6 in the morning,
Ron has used this example for 10 years.
It's still true.
The cobblestone. What happened on a cobblestone street? Because it drives you crazy.
No, this is what ruins it for Americans.
Okay.
So you're a business owner in Spain.
Sure.
Every day. All day long.
And those are always Americans.
And it's a big, obese American and their American clothes. Like, what would your perception be?
Yeah.
So they look at that and they're like, if you come in and you are nice and you're considerate and you look out for their well-being and you're polite, then people are going to be polite in return. But if you run through there like a bull in a china cabinet, as my mom used to say, then they should treat you poorly.
Yeah.
Because you're being a bad guest. If you are a good guest and a conscientious guest and curious about them and you want to participate in them instead of bringing them America. Like last time I was in Mexico with some people that didn't want to go into Mexico. They wanted to stay in the resort. And I'm like, why did we come to Mexico then?
Because they built America in Mexico.
Right. So it's like if you go participate in Mexico.
Yeah.
And then they will probably embrace you.
No, I think that's a great point. And I think you're right. When people travel, we often say, well, my son and I just did a little van life travel up the 101, up and down the 101, and it is the 101, especially if you're from California. And everybody was so nice, but everyone in California where we drove was nice in the Redwood Forest. Everybody in Ocean Shores was nice. Everybody in Aberdeen was nice because we were nice. We were traveling. We were more open. We were asking questions.
Right. You're curious about where they live and what they do and what they like.
Yeah. And people say, well,
What do you mean you don't got a Starbucks in Tokyo? I want none of that Japanese coffee. Dude, just like they have coffee, just go to the coffee shop.
Yeah. All right, hey, coming up with the Ron and Don Show, blame the Soviets because a piece of space junk is about to land in your swimming pool. We got more. Don't forget, we sell the sound. Just go to ronanddonsitdown.com and we'll see you on the other side of this. All right, you guys, welcome back to the Ron and Don Show. We are on YouTube now. We're so excited. In fact, we used to be on YouTube, and then we haven't been on YouTube in years, and now we're back on YouTube.
So go to YouTube, search for Ron and Don Radio.
Yeah, we got a coach here and a producer in our brand new studios, and he told me, hey, Don, could you look a little cooler? And so I'm going to let me know, you guys, when you check us out on YouTube. He said, hey, could you throw the aviators on? So I don't know if I'm going to be able to see my notes, and suddenly it got very dark in here. But what do you guys think?
It looks like when you did the hire a dancer for a bachelorette party.
Yeah.
That's the look that I'm getting now.
I'm going to leave them on for this second. The problem with my aviators is now my son thinks they're cool, so he's wearing them to school every day and loses those. And then also I go to put my socks on. He's been wearing my socks to wrestling practice. So I was running out the door the other day. I threw some socks on, and then I went to an open house, and I took my shoes off, and I went, oh, my gosh, I got the wrestling socks on, and couple. Do you ever have holes in your socks at the open house? It's a little embarrassing.
No, I throw those away.
I don't have holes in my underwear at the open house because, like Ron, I don't wear underwear. Ron taught me years ago. You don't have to wear underwear, so you'll never see me with holes in my underwear at the open house. But I certainly have holes in my socks every once in a while.
I wear underwear every day. Yeah. Here's the thing on socks. And this is probably no one's going to care about this.
Right.
Every couple years, throw away all your socks and get the same exact sock.
Yep.
But like 20 pairs of them.
Perfect.
And then when you're doing laundry, it's all the same sock.
Yeah.
And so if you need to get gray and black or whatever, gray, black, and white, just get the same exact sock, 2 or 3 different colors, and then once you start getting a hole in one, throw the entire batch away.
Yep.
Brand new. Dude, it's like a $40 investment.
Right.
I'm telling you, it'll change your life.
Matt does this with his relationships.
Hey-o.
How the glass is looking on YouTube, you guys. Check it out. I'm going to bring a backup pair for you next week.
No, thank you.
And we'll do a segment every week that's just aviators only. How about that? And I'll get a pair for Matt, and we'll look fantastic. Hey, real
Magic
quick.
Mike, the over 50 division.
Did you realize the Soviets over 50 years ago, we were kind of in this space race. They were sending up stuff. We were sending up stuff. And I didn't realize that they were sending 2 aircraft to Venus, right? And one of the aircraft made it there and it was there for 50 minutes, and then it didn't send much back, I think, and then that aircraft burned up. The other one that was parked in outer space that was supposed to be on its way to Venus too, never made it, and there was some kind of issue with it, and now we're finding out it's no longer going to be parked in outer space. There's a parachute on it, and they said it's about to fall to Earth. And they say there's a pretty good chance it's not going to hit you or I, but at some point, most of the space junk that comes back, it burns up in the atmosphere, but this was designed to come back so they could study it. So it has heat shields on it. It also has a parachute. They say after 50 years, they don't think the parachute's going to work. They think the heat shield's going to work. And this thing, it looks like a 2-story big bowling ball. And it's from the former Soviet Union, so it says CCCP on it.
Right.
And it's about to land on someone or in someone's pool. Were you aware that there's stuff up there?
Well, I was aware that there's tons of space junk. I think the one that makes this different, like you said, is the heat shield.
The heat shield.
Here's what scientists do, and this always...
You're going to explain science to us.
This always reminds me...
Matt,
socks to science.
From socks relationships to science.
Yeah. This is how I know that nobody, including me, really understands probabilities. Because they say, and they throw this in the article and everyone still freaks out.
Yeah.
There's a 70% chance, or the Earth is 70% water and 30% land in this band where they predict it's going to fall.
Correct.
And then amongst the land, not all of it is habitated. And so the chances of this, it's 70% chance that it's just going to hit water. So, and then of the times that it doesn't hit water, there's a very small chance that it hits land that is actually populated. So it's not zero. So a scientist is never going to say, hey, it's 0% chance, don't worry about it. Because it's not a 0% chance, but it's like 1 in 20,000 or something.
1 in 25,000.
1 in 25,000.
Which means there is a chance.
There is a chance.
There is a chance.
And so if it was me at a casino.
It's like, I would feel better if it was 1 in a million. 1 in 25,000 kind of feels like, yeah, someone could get bopped on the noggin.
Someone
with this
could get bopped.
Yeah.
It also could burn up, like the 50-year-old vehicle that's been in orbit for 50 years. The space shield might have failed, or might go through and actually burn up.
They do think it's going to land somewhere though, because then they give warning signs and they said, hey, if you find this thing, don't touch it because the Russians are coming for it. I'm
sure the Russians would want it back.
They want their gear
technology.
back. I don't know though. If I'm sitting there in Iowa and this thing happens to land in the back of my new, what are you buying? A square truck?
I know, it's like a slate.
Let's say I buy a slate truck and I get lucky enough this thing lands in the back of my slate truck.
If it lands in the back, I'm dead.
No, and I'm in some town you've never heard of.
It's got to land on the ground.
You've just created one of the greatest. That's better than a big ball of yarn. You know what I mean? We were just down in the Redwood Forest. We saw Paul Bunyan's down there, and then what's the name of the ox? Paul's ox.
Blue.
Blue's head has been out there.
The blue ox, Babe,
It's Babe. It's Babe.
Babe.
Yeah. By the way, they have when you go down the Redwood Forest, they have a big cage around Babe right now because and Babe was put there in the 1950s. Babe's head fell off, and so they're putting Babe's head back on, which that even makes that a better roadside attraction. In fact, I have pictures I'm going to show you. But if I'm in Iowa and I
Why
land
Iowa?
something, I'm just thinking out in the middle of nowhere. Why not Iowa?
There's a 1 in
Why not
$25,000 chance it's
You know
Iowa.
what? I'm going to start selling T-shirts on this show next week that says "Why not Iowa?" And
Have you been to Iowa? That's why not.
I know, but if you're in Iowa, you want people to come to Iowa. You want a roadside attraction like this big ball of fire that's going to fall to the earth. And wouldn't you go see it if you're in Iowa?
I want to put $5 right now that it will not land in Iowa. You want to take that wager?
Let's bet on it.
All right, $5.
shake.
It's not landing in Iowa.
Yeah. Why are your hands wet and clammy?
Because I've been sweating.
Okay.
It's kind of hot in the Ron and Don studios with all these studio lights.
All right. Hey, you guys. Thanks for listening to the Ron and Don Show today. And also, thanks for watching the Ron and Don Show on YouTube. Let us know about the glasses. And if you think I should have Ron bring in a pair for him and a pair for Matt as well. Also, don't forget, if you don't get the Nation News,
you can go to ronandon.com, sign up for the Nation News. We don't spam you or sell the list to anybody. And you can also, if you want to talk about your real estate journey, whether you're buying, selling, or investing, it all starts right there. Let's do a sit down and start that today.
Yeah. And don't forget, we sell the sound. And why the president did no deals this week, he says he did 200, but now we're finding out he didn't do any. We did 3, which doesn't sound like 200, but I think we still did. I think we did. We're closing on 3 deals this week, which is pretty good.
I love that, where there's 195 countries in the world. I did 200 deals. 5 unknown countries. I'm doing deals with other satellites.
Then someone in his cabinet, under oath in Congress, they're like, "How many deals have you guys done? None. How many are you working on? 0. Ron and Don have done 3.
We are outpacing the U.S. government.
We're outpacing the United States government.
And we don't even have any tariffs.
All right, so don't forget, if you need us, ronandonsitdown.com. We'll meet you on your real estate journey. And we'll also make sure you get a really cool Ron and Don. Why don't you show the people real quick, Ron? The Ron and Don sit-down mug, which, by the way, Ron's is chipped up. And so, because I thought we were going to use this cup right here, it's just that we're doing TV now. It's TV set. And so I used some magic marker to color in some of the chips because it was rolling around in the back of my truck. Because sometimes we will take these and we put them at listings. And be careful not to cut your lip there. So, anyway, ronandonsitdown.com. Hey, you guys, thanks for listening. I want to thank Matt today. I want to thank Grace. I want to thank Ron, myself, our good friend Alex, who works on the newsletter, and, of course, my son, who's the station voice. I think that's the 7-year-old version of him.
I love it, though.
Anytime,
never going to change.
Now that he's 15, he does not want to hear it. And, of course, Charlie the dog. Till next time, you keep your head up and your shoulders back, and don't forget, you've been listening to the Ron and Don Show all night on the Ron and Don Radio Network.
Hey, thanks for listening to the Ron and Don Show. Now keep your head up and your shoulders back and find some black belt courage.